I was reading in Matthew 25, and I've read that many times over the years, but Christ talks about when he comes back and he's going to set up his kingdom, and he's got everybody before him, and he puts the sheep on one side and the goats on the other. And he tells the sheep that when I was hungry, you fed me. When I was thirsty, you gave me drink. You gave me shelter. When I was sick, you took care of me. When I was in prison, you visited me. Come into my glory. And they said, Lord, when did we do that? And he said, when you did it to the least of these, you did it to me. And the goats were sitting there, and they said, hey, you know, we called on your name. We did this. We knew you. He said, I never knew you. And he gave those same things again. You never did them. And for some reason, when I read that about 1.5 years ago, I knew I was a goat. When I first became a Christian, I was really on fire. I was back in '82. I remember when I went to home, the first time I went back to Michigan after becoming a Christian, and I seen some of my old drinking buddies. I stopped right in the middle of Main Street, had Julie with me, who was my girlfriend at the time, and told them my whole story. And I was not afraid to share what God had done to me. And I was that way probably up until about '89, where I was in praying, reading God's Word, growing, and just had a good relationship. And in '89, that's when I moved back to Michigan. And for some reason, I never really understood why, but I grew cold. And then here, about 6 years ago, I sold my business, which had been my dream my entire life, and gave up on that. And I would ask God, I said, what do I do? I want to know what to do next. Where do I go? And he told me very clearly, fast. I want you to fast for 40 days. For 1.5 years now, I've really been struggling with that. And I went back in February. I got the opportunity to go to Guatemala and build houses with a friend. Somebody wanted to go but couldn't, and so they offered to pay my entire way, and that was the only way I could go. I just didn't have the money right then. And so I thought I'd go. And while I was down there doing that, Christ made that very clear, that this is what he meant. This is what we are to do. If we follow him, that's what he wants us to take care of those that can't. He wants us to help those that are sick, to provide shelter for them. And it was amazing. It was really an amazing experience that I can't begin to describe. And then about 2 weeks later, Joshua called and said that he couldn't go to Mexico and wanted to know if I'd go in his place. So there again, unexpectedly, I get an opportunity to go, and God wrecked me. I don't know how to explain it. All I know is I will never be the same again. When I was down there, he made it clear. I was in his mouth, and he was ready to spit me out. I was at a crossroads. From then on, if I didn't surrender and give to him, my choice was to leave and be a goat. And I knew I had to. I had to surrender. And so again, I came to him and said, Lord, what do I do? What do I do to find what you want me to do? How do I follow my way? And he said, I want you to fast for 40 days. That was a scary thought. I knew what he meant. And it wasn't a juice fast. It wasn't a Daniel fast. It was a complete fast. And I knew what that meant because I still had work to do. And so I knew I'd be working, using energy. I wasn't going to be laying in a bed. And so the very next day, I started a 40-day fast. And it was the most amazing 40 days of my life. I continued to work, and with what I do for work with construction is very physical, very strenuous on a normal day. And those 40 days has been the most strenuous and the most work I have done and the hardest work I've done in years. And I can't even begin to describe to you what my body went through. I, at one point, worked 85 hours in 6 days. I could make it maybe 2, sometimes 3 hours, and I'd have to stop and get down and pray and read. And then I'd have energy, and I could get back up and work again. And that's the way it went the whole time. The craziest thing is the things that I was praying for direction in my life and what to do, that's not been answered. I don't know anymore today of what I'm going to do, but I do know, no matter what it is, after this miracle that He performed, and He used me in such a way that He used it for His glory. It was nothing for me to do, nothing for me, but only for His glory and His honor. And I'm just thrilled that He's done this, and has given me an opportunity to help others. And I want to see as many people out there do the same thing. Not the fast, but to surrender. Just to surrender your life totally to Christ.